Hello. Let me start with my thanks to Aerospace Corp, not only for this edition of the Space Policy Show, but for jumping into this format in the very early days of COVID, feet first, and consistently bringing topical issues to the listening public. And thanks to Dr. Mark Skinner for including me in this amazing lineup of folks. It's the who's who of SSA and STM. So I work at the Office of Space Commerce in the U.S. Department of Commerce. And today, I'm going to speak to you about what we've been doing to develop the Open Architecture Data Repository. I almost always start my talks with a bit about U.S. Space Policy Directive 3 and what it directs our office to do. SPD 3 was put in place to establish a capability for civil and commercial SSA notifications and the dissemination of space flight safety data. The Open Architecture Data Repository, OADR as we fondly call it, is the basis for this mission. This will be a cloud-based, highly flexible, scalable platform from which commercial operators will receive space safety notifications and have access to tailored commercial products. The idea here is not government versus commercial. What we're working to create is a capability that combines the publicly releasable portion of the DoD authoritative catalog with commercial SSA data, with operational ephemerides, with data analytics and state-of-the-art visualization, all combined in a modern operational concept for precise and timely warnings to private sector and international operators. I also like to talk about the rich resources within our department, our infrastructure, and the cross-departmental support we are blessed to enjoy is key to how we have continued to move forward despite the challenges of the past year. A lot is riding on the success of the space safety mission. So let me share with you some of what we have managed to accomplish this past year. We've examined current DoD, NASA, and commercial processes and systems. We've studied other large data sets and operational models along with industry inputs. I'll go deeper into this in a minute. We've reviewed the Unified Data Library and spacetrack.org, integrated into the Sprint Advanced Concept SAC-T exercises. I want to tell you more about this now. SAC-T helped us define several workflows to address different scenarios, object custody, maneuver, conjunctions, breakup, search, things like that. It also helped us examine the information data flow and the positions we're going to need to fill to perform the function. Iterative scenarios improved the communication methods, dashboards for mission and sensor tasking, chat groups, VTC, things to pass information along within the confines of the commercial services outputs that are provided. There's still a lot of additional experimentation ahead to deal with federated data sets versus a single data repository, but these are already under planning. We've been working to identify gaps in standards. We know these are key to the OADR. We've investigated our legal and regulatory authorities, and the team has developed an OADR assumptions document and initial functional architectures. We're taking an incremental approach to this mission. In fiscal year 20, efforts have focused on leveraging NOAA data sets, using its big data project to start population of resident sources in the data layer. So let's see how good I am. This is my first foray into recording myself and showing a presentation at the same time. So bear with me. And I'm going to share. Share, computer, share. But I want it to be, no, where is that? Yes, and we want that to be slideshow from current slide. And lo and behold, look at that. Okay, so I want to show you a couple of charts only. This first one is our visualization of, or a graphic representation of the Open Architecture Data Repository's components and the things that we've learned as we put together work with the NOAA Big Data Project. BDP stands for Big Data Project. So our initial data sets, let's see if I can show you. Yes, this is even going to work better than I thought. Okay, so I want to show you that down here we have our multiple real-time data streams, and these are coming from commercial, civil, international, and DoD. That includes UDL, and it includes spacetrack.org. All of this data comes in through, this is one, it comes into the data ingest, which is the second step, which is like a raw vault. And from there, it goes through a validation and verified data process. So let's talk about what these data streams are for us with the NOAA BDP. And know that what we're doing is leveraging resources within the department. So we have some constraints with regard to the BDP. Things have to be linked to the NOAA mission. So here we want to, here we are. Our initial data sets are, because we're in NOAA's Big Data Project, NOAA's Space Weather Prediction Center, Space Weather Forecasts and Products. Okay, so SWPC data is here. That's already in. And we're also including NASA's micrometeoroid database and annual meteor shower forecasts. We're working with these things. We're developing the landing pages. We're working on the different agreements that govern the relationships. For instance, the user agreements just for basic access, or owner-operator agreements, or provider agreements. So this is giving us an opportunity to work with a lot of those different steps along this journey. And the idea is that we will transition to our own cloud service provider and have our own contract once we get funding. Hopefully that will be in the very near future. We shall see. The next layer here in the data layers is the validated and verified data. So that's where these data sets that I just described to you live. And then there will be other data products that are approved for public release. So this is going to get a whole lot more complicated once we are able to start really building out into our own cloud service, our own cloud. At that point, we're going to be able to start bringing in data that isn't in furtherance of NOAA's mission, perhaps, but is in furtherance of the SSA SPD3 mission. And we will also start developing a sandbox for R&D. So let me tell you a little bit about what we have planned once we get into our own. We are developing an acquisition strategy to help us develop this, and our intention is to integrate commercial SSA data sets from the UDL and also from some owner-operator ephemeris and maneuver plans from SpaceTrack. So we're working on some of that with the SAC-T that I just described. That will be part of the August SAC-T, and it was also part of the April SAC-T. We're figuring out the utility of the space weather data to improve cooperative tracking from owner-operator plans with commercial SSA processing. So we're going to start working on ways to make the data work together and help provide a better read on what the situation is as it continually evolves. We are now in fiscal year 20 and will continue always to work with academia. So we have cooperative research and development agreements in place with UT Austin to help us refine elements and also to help us put together the sandbox, the research and development sandbox, which will be another layer in the in our cloud as we go forward. We are hoping to have an industry day. Likely it will be in a format like this. Hopefully there will come a time when we'll all be together again. And in early fiscal year 21, we plan to start fusing the track data among disparate data sources and see how different ensemble approaches can work for us. We'll continue to populate the data and linkages into the data layer in fiscal year 21. And those are going to include some commercial data sources. We'll be working with data rights restrictions. So every step on this journey reveals more things for us to learn. We will address the federated approach to other data repositories like UDL and SpaceTrack, commercial and international sources, because that's necessary for the complementary and practical execution of our mission. And we will start to construct the product layer. So we have the basic service, we have a basic data layer, and then we envision an advanced data layer as well. I mentioned that we see a role for the research community and academia in this, and we do. So by fiscal year 22, we hope to be able to build out the R&D sandboxes, and we'd like an academic institution or institutions, a consortium to well, we think probably one head to the body to lead, and then to address the technical challenges facing the mission, and to help support innovation and economic development, because we see this as an ongoing thing. We don't see that basic service as something that's trapped in amber. We see that as the innovations continue to come online, basic services are going to refine and get better and better, and we want that process. So we see that we'll be looking over the shoulder of the sandbox and seeing what we can incorporate into the basic service that we provide. But we don't want to provide everything. We also want this advanced service layer, because we would like to make it easy to access all of the fantastic commercial capabilities that are out there. But we want to not just leverage them for the basic service, but also facilitate their development as a business. We're the Department of Commerce, and we believe that business should thrive and prosper. That's part of our statutory mandate. And advanced commercial services are going to be accessible through the infrastructure in that way. So we don't foresee that we will provide them. We foresee that we will provide access to them. They will be vetted. We'll make sure that that everything meets with the standards that we require, and we will be able to offer products, tools, and services directly to users through our platform. By fiscal year 23, we believe that our international outreach is going to really start to flourish. We're hoping by then, as we develop new sources of innovation, and as we continue to develop the standards and the norms, because we really do believe that the standards come from operations, and the best norms are operationally grounded and founded. And we'll move on to the next chart now. See how easy? So I want to share with you something that our team put together, and that is something that I'm particularly proud of. We composed some guiding principles for the OADR that we are building for all of us, for all of you. And I'm going to just read them to you, because I think that they have a power. The Office of Space Commerce will enable rapid incorporation of new OADR technologies and best practices to keep pace with the rapidly changing and expanding commercial space sector. The OADR will mitigate the worsening situation that the current way of conducting spaceflight safety operations cannot be sustained. The OADR will provide reliable and trustworthy basic spaceflight safety services to allow operators in all orbit regimes to make timely and accurate decisions. The OADR will permit the Department of Defense to conduct its primary missions of space domain awareness and protect and defend operations for national security space assets. The OADR will provide a cloud-based environment for industry to continually improve the accuracy and timeliness of space situational awareness data. The OADR will provide industry the framework to develop and offer advanced SSA services to space operators conducting complex operations. A lot of power in there. So it's scalable, it's transparent, it's flexible, it's responsive, and again, not trapped in amber. So we are doing this. We're creating this system that SPD3 promised to you. Let's continue to do this together. Thank you. This is how you